Dear Philippines, every once in a while God gives a nation a reminder of who we can become. At times, it's a public servant. Occasionally, it's through a celebrity, maybe a billionaire. Sometimes, He chooses a young woman with a tennis racket. This week, millions of Filipinos stayed awake late into the night to watch 21-year-old Alex Eala walk onto center court at Wimbledon. Across the world, people saw a talented athlete. But we saw something more. We saw one of our own. We saw a Filipina who carried the hopes of an entire nation, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. And what happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Alex defeated world number 3 Iga Swiatek, one of the greatest players of this generation, in straight sets to become the first Filipino in the Open era to reach the second week of Wimbledon. It wasn't just another upset, it was history. But here's what touched me the most. After the biggest victory of her life, Alex didn't boast. She didn't make the moment about herself. She didn't put a crown on her head. Instead, she thanked the crowd. She expressed gratitude for the opportunity to play on her dream court. And once again, she acknowledged the overwhelming support of Filipinos around the world. That tells you everything you need to know about her character. You see, talent may open doors, but character determines how long you stay inside. Today we live in a world where fame often produces pride. Success convinces people they no longer need their roots. Some become embarrassed by where they came from. But Alex Eala seems to be traveling in the opposite direction. The higher she climbs, the more openly she embraces being Filipino. In interviews, she isn't afraid to speak in Filipino. She smiles when talking to fellow Filipinos. She proudly carries our flag into the world's biggest tournaments. She understands something many successful people eventually forget. You never outgrow your identity. You never become too successful to honor the people who helped you get there. One interview especially caught my attention. When asked what it meant to represent the Philippines on one of tennis's biggest stages, Alex answered with genuine humility. She said she felt so blessed to represent the people back home. Think about those words. So blessed. Not, I deserve this. Not, I earned this. Blessed. That single word reveals a heart that understands gratitude. The Bible tells us in James 1, verse 17, every good and perfect gift is from above. Championships are gifts. Opportunities are gifts. Abilities are gifts. And the wisest people never forget the giver. Another thing that impressed me is that Alex doesn't carry herself as though she represents only herself. She often says she wants to inspire young Filipinos. She wants children to believe that they too can compete with the very best in the world. Imagine the impact of that. Somewhere in Quezon City, somewhere in Cebu, somewhere in Davao, somewhere in a small barangay where there isn't even a proper tennis court. A little girl watched Alex play and thought, maybe I can do that too. Dreams spread much faster than fear. Hope is contagious. One courageous person can change the imagination of an entire generation. That is exactly what Alex Eala is doing. And perhaps that's why so many Filipinos have embraced her. Not simply because she wins, but because of how she wins. She competes fiercely. She respects her opponents. She remains humble, and she remembers where she came from. There's another beautiful lesson hidden beneath all of this. Alex left the Philippines at a young age to train in Spain. For many young people, success overseas can slowly erase their connection to home. But somehow, the farther she traveled geographically, the closer she seemed to grow emotionally to the Philippines. She has become proof that you can become global without losing your identity. In fact, your identity may become your greatest strength. That is a lesson our country desperately needs. But perhaps the most beautiful part of Alex Eala's story has nothing to do with rankings, trophies, or prize money. It has to do with what she carries when no one is watching. In one interview, she was asked what Filipino thing she always has in her tennis bag. Her answer surprised many people. She smiled and joked that she didn't have a karaoke machine or microphone. Instead, she said she always carries a rosary. In another interview, when she was asked about the most Filipino thing she does during tournaments, she answered without hesitation, "I pray when I get really nervous." What a refreshing testimony. In an age when many athletes hesitate to speak about faith, Alex speaks about prayer naturally, not to impress anyone, but because it has become part of who she is. Notice that she didn't say she prays only after she wins. She prays when she's nervous. She prays before the outcome is known. That is what faith looks like. Faith is not believing that God will always give us victory. Faith is believing that God will be with us whether we win or lose. The psalmist wrote, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." That's Psalm 56, verse 3. How many of us need to hear those words today? Maybe your battlefield isn't center court at Wimbledon. Maybe it's a hospital room. Maybe it's an empty bank account. Maybe it's a broken relationship. Maybe it's uncertainty about the future. Whatever your court may be, the same God who hears a young Filipina whisper a prayer before a tennis match also hears your prayers today. Another thing I deeply admire about Alex is how she speaks about her family. She consistently gives credit to her parents for their sacrifices, support, and encouragement. She reminds us that success is never a solo achievement. Behind every champion is someone who prayed, sacrificed, encouraged, drove, waited, worked, and believed long before the applause ever came. In our Filipino culture, we call that utang na loob, a grateful heart that never forgets those who helped us along the way. That spirit shines through Alex. She understands that honoring your parents is not old-fashioned, it's beautiful. She understands that representing your country is not a burden, it's a privilege. She understands that talent is not an entitlement, it's a gift. Perhaps that is why millions of people feel connected to her. Yes, they celebrate her victories over some of the world's best players. Yes, they marvel at her powerful ground strokes and fearless play. But more than that, they recognize something increasingly rare: integrity, humility, gratitude, faith. These qualities are far more difficult to develop than a winning backhand. Trophies eventually gather dust. Rankings rise and fall. Records are broken, but character endures. Long after people forget the score of a match, they remember the kind of person you were. Alex Eala is still writing her story. There will be more victories. There will also be painful defeats, like her hard-fought loss to former Wimbledon finalist Jasmine Paolini after an inspiring run to the fourth round. Yet even in defeat, she walked off center court with her head held high. Sometimes God teaches us just as much through our losses as through our victories. After all, Success isn't measured only by how high we climb, it's measured by whether we remain faithful while climbing. Dear Philippines, perhaps Alex Eala's greatest achievement is not simply proving that the Filipina can compete with the world's best. Perhaps it is reminding us of the kind of people we were always meant to be: proud but never proud hearted, excellent but always humble, confident but always grateful, successful but never forgetting God, family, and country. May God raise up many more young Filipinos like Alex Eala, not only champions in sports, but champions of character. Because our nation doesn't just need more winners, it needs more people worth following. And if that happens, then the greatest victories for the Philippines are still ahead. God bless Alex Eala. God bless every Filipino family raising children with faith, discipline, and humility. And may God continue to bless our beloved Philippines. If this message encouraged you, please like this video, subscribe to Letters of Paul to the Philippines, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that greatness begins with character. Until next time, reminding you that the strongest victories are won first in the heart.